Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for joining us. My name is Alyssa Karpinka, and I'm the event coordinator for McNally Robinson Booksellers in Saskatoon. This event is coming to you from Treaty 6 territory, the traditional lands of the Cree, Saulteaux, Dene, Dakota, Lakota, Nakota, and Métis nations. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the Saskatoon launch of Little Black Lives Matter by Khodi Dill. Thank you to Khodi for being here tonight, to illustrator Chelsea Charles, who will join us shortly via Zoom, and to 7 Stories Press for helping us bring you this event. Khodi is a husband, father, writer, anti-racist educator, public speaker, and spoken word artist. His writing for adults and children explores life, politics, and identity through a critical social justice lens. With a background in hip hop and spoken word poetry, it's not surprising that his 2021 picture book, Welcome to the Cipher, is an introduction to rapping for young kids. Little Black Lives Matter is his debut board book. Dill lives with his family here in Saskatoon. We will now hear from Khodi. Please give him a warm welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Oh my goodness, doesn't this feel good? It feels good. First in-person book launch, really happy to see everyone out. I'm humbled by everyone who chose to be here today. So I'm going to start with a few thank yous, and we'll hear from Chelsea Charles, as you heard, just about illustrating the book and everything like that. I'm super thrilled to have her join us. And then there's a couple other pieces on the agenda tonight. I'll do a little read through, and then if you want to have a book signed or anything like that, I'd be happy to do that for you. So first and foremost, I'd like to thank God, and some people know God by many other names, right? The Creator, the universe, source, whatever it is to you. I definitely want to thank that person, that body, that being, because they have answered my prayers, okay? Because when it came to getting this book in particular published, I definitely prayed a lot. I did mantras, manifestations, intention settings, all kinds of things, and you name it, and it paid off. So big ups to whoever coordinated that. Including my ancestors. I have to thank my ancestors as well, because I know that even though many of them aren't here physically anymore, they're still doing that work on the other side. And I really want to validate that tonight as well. Definitely want to thank my wonderful parents who are here tonight, right up here. Give it up for my folks. Yeah. Always supporting me, always there for me, always pushing me in the right direction in terms of my writing. My family, I'd like to thank my wife, Carly. She couldn't be here tonight, but she supported my writing from the start. And actually, she had some really crucial ideas for how this book could unfold and take shape. So she really played a part in that. And my 2 beautiful kids, Hazel and Ezra, get to be here tonight. Give it up for my kids, y'all. Yes. Yeah, you both mean the world to me, and without you, I wouldn't be up here doing this, and you all know that. So thank you both very much. I want to thank my editors, Dan and Ruth at 7 Stories Press, for believing in me and in this vision for this book, and also for their vision for how the book could be improved, because it was actually their idea to include these powerful quotations from the Black heroes who are featured in the book. So, and I really think that did help it come to life, and I really appreciate that. And Stuart at 7 Stories for his work on design as well. Thank you to Chelsea. Chelsea, I know you're listening, waiting on the line. We appreciate you. You absolutely did your thing on this book in terms of the illustrations and the beautiful, stunning cover. How about we give it up for Chelsea Charles? Yes, and my community, all of y'all for supporting me. There are so many people who've come together to make my career, not to mention this book, a reality. And I'm truly thankful for each part that everyone has played. To my friends, my allies, and my readers, I'm definitely still in awe at the support that this community has shown me. And I'm humbled by it, by your belief in me, and just by the cheerleading and the love that's there. So please accept my gratitude for that. And finally, thanks to McNally Robinson for this space and for all of the support from Welcome to the Cipher till now. We're just going to keep going, I hope, with this great relationship. Thank you very much. Give it up for McNally. So folks have asked me, and today I was on CBC, and they asked me, why did you write this book? And I think that the main reason that comes to mind is just that through all of the conversations we've been having about Black Lives Matter, which really ramped up around, 2020 and have sort of ramped down a little bit lately, unfortunately, which we need to rebolster that. I just felt that we were missing this segment of the population who often get overlooked, right? The young people in our midst and in our surroundings. And they have so much to offer us in terms of what we can learn about the value of life in general, right? Anyone who is close to young people knows that, I think, very deeply. And so, of course, it's important that we include them in these conversations. And yes, they should be age-appropriate conversations, right? And I think that it's my hope that this book can be a part of that and a part of starting that conversation. Our young people deal with racism on a daily basis, just like all racialized people of color, and that gets internalized, right? There are lots of different levels of racism. We talk about individualized racism, which happens between people or groups of people. There's systemic racism, right? The broad social policies and designs that constantly work against and diminish the value of Black and racialized lives. And then there's internalized racism, right? And internalized racism is the result of all of those other forms of racism. And it's what happens when young people, even without being told, right, learn to devalue their own lives and their own sense of self-worth. And that is happening whether we believe it or not, and whether we confront it or not. And so in my view, it's just always best that we are confronting that we are being proactive and getting in front of that and helping those young people affirm the value of their own lives, because I just believe that there's such richness there. So that's what this book is meant to do. And I'm super happy that there's shared excitement about that, and super happy that people all communities and colors and cultures are interested in this book. One thing I said today on the radio as well is that, for racialized people, we're very much used to reading things that haven't necessarily been written for us specifically, right? Thinking about all the things I read in school, right? None of that was written for me, right? But I read it, I learned from it, I took good things away from it, not always, but I always tried to see the good in what was presented to me. And so for white folks who are here tonight for this book launch about Little Black Lives, I just want to say thank you very much, because I know that there's discomfort sometimes in seeking out a text that isn't written for you necessarily, right? And I guess it just speaks to, the different levels of privilege and disadvantage that we have in our society, depending on who we are. Because for racialized people, we're used to being that uncomfortable all the time. So I really do appreciate those who would put themselves forward to say, you know what, this wasn't written specifically for me, but I'm here to be a witness and to learn from this as well, because that's how we learn about each other's stories and perspectives and learn about the value of each other's lives. So thank you very much. And without further ado, I'd love to bring on Chelsea Charles, just to speak about her role in crafting the incredible illustrations for this picture book. So I will step out of the way and we'll see if we can get Chelsea up here.
Hi, everyone. Can you guys hear me okay? Hi, can you guys hear me okay? Oh, okay, perfect. Hi, everyone. My name is Chelsea and I'm the illustrator. This was actually the very first children's book that I've ever worked on, and I'm just really thankful to Khodi and Ruth for believing in me to illustrate this amazing story. It was a lot of fun working on this project, as I usually work on pieces that require a quick turnaround time. So it was very special for me to actually have the time to sit with the story and come up with some really meaningful illustrations. And I really hope that Khodi's story that talks about all of these important heroes really inspires kids and shows them that there is also an inner hero in them as well. And yeah, I just want to say thanks, Khodi, and I'm glad that this book is finally out there in the world.
Thank you so much, Chelsea. And we will invite Chelsea back on later for the Q&A portion, which will follow the read through. But before I read from the book, I just wanted to share space today with, an organization that is very recently near and dear to my heart. A few months ago, I had the pleasure of connecting with Dominique Xavier here to just learn more about the Truly Alive Youth and Family Foundation. Also met with Halima Hussein. And, here on the prairies, sometimes I think it's difficult for people to even believe that Blackness exists, okay? Because it can seem like we Black people are so few and far between. And of course, that's one of the huge problems that we face here is just seeking and finding that representation where it really counts, and especially in our young lives. But there are organizations, there are people, there is history here. And so I wanted to share space today with representatives from the Truly Alive Youth and Family Foundation, who are a Black-run, Black-founded organization who do really great work in our community for young Black lives and all racialized folks within our area. So without further ado, if I could call up Halima to share this space. Dominique Xavier, are you going to come up as well?
I'll be sharing for her.
Okay, awesome. So thanks very much. Yeah, so if you could just share with us what the foundation is all about and anything to watch out for in the near future, please.
Hi, everyone. It's beautiful to be here. Thank you so much, Khodi, for having us. It feels like he wrote the book for me, for the young me. Anyways, my name is Halima Hussein. I'm the coordinator, diversity, inclusion, and community engagement at Truly Alive Youth and Family Foundation. So Truly Alive Youth and Family Foundation is a Black-founded, Black-led organization that is serving Black people and racialized people and everyone in our community. And our services are tailored to individuals because we don't believe in one size fits all. And that's the reason why we always have differences in terms of need. So I won't take much of your time, but I'm glad that I see diversity in here, and I'm glad that I see allyship. And to me, color is beautiful, but also acknowledging the differences and similarities is very productive and very important. So look, we are approaching our Black Heritage Month, Black History Month. Some of us call it Black History Month for the February, and Truly Alive Youth and Family Foundation will be celebrating a month long, not only celebrating, but also educating. So please visit our website, join us to learn the history of Black people and also unlearn the biases. At the same time, join us for our gala, which will be held at Remy Modern. That's my little one. Remy Modern on the 28th of February. So thank you so much for having me, and I'm glad that you did write to come. Even though you didn't write to me, you wrote to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, please support this foundation, everyone. And I'm happy to say that through conversation with McNally Robinson, they've provided me with a $100 McNally Robinson gift card to give to your foundation for whatever reason you choose. So please take that. Definitely honored for our connection and the partnership that we can grow together. So I'd love to do a read through here. I'm not going to read the whole book, but we'll read parts of the book here. And I just wondered, like, there are quotations from these great Black heroes in this book. Does anyone want to volunteer to like shout out the quotation parts as we read through? Would that be cool? Any confident readers that would be okay with that? No, nobody? Okay, no. Seriously, can I get a few volunteers? Yes, then why don't you come up just where you can see the screen a little bit better. Anyone that wants to help my friend Jordan here? Anyone at all? Yes, come on up. Just come on up over here. Yeah, fantastic. Come on up. If you can stand in a line, then you can take turns as the different quotations come up. but you're gonna want to be able to see the screen, okay? So anything that's in bold, black bold is a quotation that you can read, okay? I'm gonna point at you for the first one, okay? Because that one comes up really quick, and then the others come up a little bit later on. So who are our volunteers? Okay, and you're gonna want to look at the screen because it's different from the book right now. Yeah, different order and stuff like that. So yeah, this is Little Black Lives Matter. Again, it's kind of a rhyming poem to young Black children. And it features 15 great Black heroes of the past. And I tried to have a real diversity of those Black heroes because I think we're used to having some of the same familiar faces when it comes to Black history. But there are others such as Marsha P on the cover, who was an incredible civil rights activist for the trans community and the LGBTQ plus community, and often gets overlooked in the really important conversations about Black history. So who are my readers? Put your hands up. Okay, 4. Okay. All right, so let's get started. Turn your head away from that screen, my child. Such news can make you feel numb. But remember the hopeful words of Sam Cooke.
Change is going to come.
Yes. Little Black Lives Matter, child. Just you wait and see. There have been many children just like you who've changed our history. They spoke with wisdom and they saw the future as a dream to realize. How they blessed this lovely little world with lovely little Black lives. So let us look upon them and let us say their names and let us hear the mighty words they spoke to bring us change. A freedom fighter named Muhammad Ali could float like a butterfly.
I shook up the world, I shook up the world.
And he stung like a bee, and believe you me, he grew from a little Black light. Rosa Parks, she refused to move to the back of the city bus.
You must never be fearful about what you are doing when it is right.
And she did live a little Black life before empowering all of us. Marsha P. Johnson stayed true to herself and would not be denied.
Darling, I want my gay rights now.
She too lived a little Black life before she helped the world know pride. Jesse Owens was an Olympian, the very fastest of his time.
Michael God is all around you.
He lived a little Black life and was unbeatable in his prime. Many wise people all across the world know Malcolm X's strike.
It is time for you and me to stand up for ourselves.
Before he led a great resistance, he too led a little Black life. In James Baldwin's little Black life, he longed for a world more fair.
Nothing can be changed until it is safe.
To make it so, he shared with us as much truth as one can bear. Billie Holiday lived a little Black life, how she crooned with raspy range.
Anything I do sing is part of my life.
In a voice that held pain and beauty, while she sang of fruit so strange. Yes, a little Black life can spawn a great voice to sing with heart and soul.
No one clear like me.
Yes, like the voice of Sister Rosetta Tharpe, the godmother of rock and roll. Chairman Fred Hampton lived a little Black life, and he spoke to power with truth.
I am a revolutionary.
By feeding and teaching little Black children, he truly empowered the youth. And there are countless more Black heroes. This is just to name a few. But don't forget the greatest life you can lead belongs to you. So go on and live your own little life. Yes, live it brave and free. And know this, child, you matter here. And most of all, to me. Thank you very much, volunteers. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, so as I say, that was an abridged version. So this picture book is unique in that it's like 56 pages long. And with my first picture book too, it was a bit of a challenge for me to condense because they said no picture book is over 32 pages. So we really did some creative things with this book. Lots more illustrations to grab onto and lots more text there as well. So yeah, thanks very much. And I think I would love to take questions and bring Chelsea back on to take questions as well. Alyssa has agreed to moderate that. So definitely just throw your hands up if you have a question for me and Chelsea, and then we'll get to a signing afterward. Just so everyone knows too, with the board book, I'll be signing book plate stickers to put in the board book because it doesn't sign very well, but the picture books are there as well, the hardcovers.
All right, I can bring around a microphone if anyone has any questions, just to make sure everyone can hear.
Chelsea, where are you from and how did you and Khodi connect?
Sorry, I didn't hear the first part of the question.
Where are you from within Canada?
I'm actually in Brampton, Ontario.
Brampton, that's right. I knew that. And there are so many great Black artists from Brampton. It's just incredible. There's something in the water there.
There is a big art scene here.
Beautiful.
Feel free to raise your hand if you got any questions.
Oh, sure. I'm just curious, how long would it take you, like, to formulate this idea and actually get it down, like, on paper?
Yeah, really good question. So like with most of my picture books, because, you know, when you think about a picture book, Chelsea, the question was, how long did it take to craft the text of this and everything like that? It's not that long of a text. And so the first draft can come out very, very quickly. So I remember too, with Welcome to the Cipher and with this, you know, I think I spent, you know, certainly under an hour with that first initial sort of cathartic, you know, process. But there's so much revision and everything that goes with it. And when I heard from Dan at Seven Stories Press, he said, you know, you should put quotations in there. And it threw me off initially because I was like, but how am I going to rhyme with quotations? But he said, use a terza rima format or a modified terza rima format, which is this really neat, you know, format of poetry where you have 3 lines instead of 2, but it still rhymes. And so we just made that work. But of course, there was a process then of researching quotations. And folks may not understand, but half of the quotations that you find online from folks, they never said those things. You know, you just Google, hey, what did so-and-so say? They never said half those things. So you actually have to do a ton of vetting that goes with that. But the team at Seven Stories Press were super helpful with that. And then the illustrating process too, Chelsea, we went back and forth a few rounds, I think, didn't we? In terms of putting this together. I'll let you speak to the process and the length of time with that.
Basically, usually with projects like this, you have to do a lot of research and getting reference photos. And I really wanted to make sure that the figures looked like who they are. So a lot of research was done and just a lot of back and forth with refining the illustrations and making sure it really represented the words of the story.
Khodi, I'm just wondering if you can answer, how did you decide on which people to include in the story? Because there's so many.
Yeah, so the question was which people I included, how did I arrive at that decision? Really, it was just about definitely wanting to include some of the major, you know, what we know as the major players in Black history, but also wanting to include those who are so often overlooked for whatever reason. And so some of the people in this book have been overlooked because of their sexuality, right? Because of their gender expression. Others have been overlooked because of their reputation as militant figures or as being too adamant about social justice, you know, or being too, you know, sort of too forceful in their approach, right? The thing about social justice movements and social justice leaders is that a lot of the ones that get upheld in our society have been the most gentle and the most lenient and the most, you know, sort of slow in their approach to fighting for change, because that's what, you know, the majority of people are okay with. But I think it's okay that we demand more, and we demand more quickly as well. So that's why you see people like Fred Hampton in here, and like Malcolm X for sure. Just because they were the ones who sort of wouldn't take no for an answer, let's just say. So we can't forget about them, because oftentimes they were the ones who allowed for the more moderate ones to be brought into the limelight and be upheld. It's like loosening a jar, right? They loosened the jar, and then other folks came in and sometimes took the credit for it. But there's a lot of people that we need to pay credit to. So I just wanted to have a diversity of gender, sexuality, you know, and walks of life and styles of leadership as well. Yeah, thank you.
Why did you pick those people? Are you the one who picked them?
Yeah, really good question. So similar to the last question, I would just say that I looked for people that I knew of throughout my life who had a really big impact in fighting for positive change for Black people. But some of them weren't people that were really well known by others. And so I just wanted to make sure that we recognize their faces and their voices in words as well. Yeah, thank you for that question.
Very much. First and foremost, I would like to thank you very much for this book. I feel so proud to come here with my daughter. I feel so proud that she was found out very people exactly read. Because the books are about her. I'm talking about, you know, it is like my mother. It's for her. For me, it's important for her to know that I like mother. Despite her who she is, you know, and she should be proud of her skin, right? Being Black as a means also being human, being all, she's represented on the first session. So, as a Black parent, who is also part of that book, I want to know what's efforts you are able to reach out to Black communities in Saskatoon, Black organizations, so a little more about this book, because it's something that also comes in disabilities in society, that they see in the book, that they can see their heroes, or anyone can see that also their heroes, that that's people with their own skin. Like really great, you know, it's not limited to any particular race. So I want to know, are we planning to reach out to more Black communities in Saskatoon so they know about this book, you know, just go around and
yeah, thanks for the question. So the question was, am I planning to reach out to more Black communities within Saskatoon to help connect them with this book? And certainly I hope to. I absolutely hope to. And that's part of why I'm so excited to be, you know, connected to the Truly Alive Youth and Family Foundation. I had a really good call with another group called the Afro Mentorship Initiative recently, who are based out of Regina, but who are partnering with Black Lives Matter YXE on doing some mentorship activities for young people within our province, and young Black people specifically. So the other avenue I hope that will be a place for connection is schools and school divisions. So if any school leaders and school division leaders are out there listening, you know, I hope you'll consider getting this book into good hands as we move forward. And Chelsea, anything you'd like to say with regard to connecting this book to communities where you live?
I definitely think that there is opportunities here for me to be able to connect the book with the communities here. Yeah, I'm not sure. Well,
Thank you.
Do you have any more questions?
Thank you so much. My name is Anthony Olushola. I'm a father to 3 boys. And I can imagine where my mind, my being, matter of fact, was in that moment, that day, the unforgettable event of the murder of George Floyd. And that changed a lot in me. And I remember holding my voice so tightly and thinking many things as to what life would mean and how we will have to almost over educate them, how we will have to almost as parents, regardless of the gender of our kids being Black, have to don't go there. You have to be 10 times smarter, but 20 times slower. What others might get away with, we have to like, don't even try it at all because, you don't want to know whether you're going to get away with it, matter of fact. And that's not a place to be. But I believe that no child, no person chooses where to be born. That's something that none of us is yet to play part in where we're going to be born and what skin color we're going to come out with, if you will. So as we hear about this and talking about Black Lives Matter, I wondered how much of, shall I say, series will still come, which we hope will be the case, and if you would, in fact, feature some Black trailblazers here locally in Saskatoon, if you haven't already done so. I work with Truly Alive Youth and Family Foundation, and Black History Month is very, very crucial to our organization as a Black-led organization. And one of the activities we do in February is called A Day in the Life of a Mentor, connecting Black youth to Black mentors locally, so they can see, that could be someone who is an executive director who is Black. There's a Black engineer, and there's a Black psychiatric doctor, there's a Black pilot, so that way they don't just think, others who look other than us are the ones capable of just impacting knowledge in us. So how do you maybe work toward that so that Black kids who go to school, who have parents working in different industries can come and say, Dad, Mom, you know what? Our teacher today is Black. Not so much the EAL, but like our teacher, he is Black. The doctor that attends to us is Black. The lawyer that owns, the law firm not too far from us is Black. And then they can begin to dream bigger than just thinking, I'm just gonna have a 9 to 5. Not necessarily, because I don't see anyone in my locality that represents greatness. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. No, thanks for the question. So the question was really about how we can bolster, I guess, young people's representation in terms of seeing Black excellence represented here in our community. And I think that, obviously there's a huge need for that. And that's why I'm thrilled to have organizations like yours within our midst, because I think hopefully we could partner together to do some really important things in that regard. And I think that's what the Afro Mentorship Initiative is all about as well. And I think schools can play a really important part. We were talking just today at my own learning council for Newtana Collegiate about the need for just bolstering representation for career opportunities for young women. And, that extends to other groups, other identity groups as well. So the need is there. And I would look forward very much to creating those opportunities. Yeah, thank you.
Your spoken word is so powerful. And breathe in, speak out. What's the catalyst for going from spoken word to these beautiful pictures?
Thank you. So the question was, what was the catalyst for me from going from spoken word to a picture book? When I wrote Breathe In, Speak Out, which if you haven't heard it, I think it's still online. It was an immediate cathartic reaction to the murder of George Floyd. Again, I wrote it and I think I recorded it in one take, and it was just sort of done. And so for me, that was something that needed to come out. It was fresh, it was raw. And it wasn't necessarily for kids, you know, it was just sort of everything I needed to say in that moment. And so, like I said before, this shift was really just about moving things in terms of audience and keeping that age appropriate. Because there are things that are going on in this world and that have gone on that I would never want children to have to learn or be exposed to. Unfortunately, as they grow, they will be exposed to those things. But this is a way to start the conversation and in a way soften those blows when they do come. I hope. Yeah, so that would be the reason for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Khodi, how did you come up with the title Black, your little Black Lives Matter? And Chelsea, when you approached to do the illustration with that title, what ran in your mind? What did you think of? Thank you.
Okay, so the question for me was, how did I come up with the title? And then the question for you, Chelsea, is when you heard that title and were approached for the illustrations, what did that make you think of, or how did you feel? So for me, it was literally just a way of adding something that seemed forgotten, you know, that seemed to be missing from that conversation. And so to take the word little and sort of add it to the front of a phrase that was coined by one of the Movement for Black Lives founders early on, actually, much before George Floyd, was just to say, let's remember those young people too, in our conversations about this gargantuan, global, really important movement. So Chelsea, I'll let you speak to how the title, you know, worked in terms of your process, your creative process.
When I first heard the title, it kind of meant a lot of things for me. It meant, I kind of thought about what was going on in the world, but also personally, it meant a lot for me growing up, you know, just visibility and not seeing myself in the media. It really just brought me back to those moments. So that's why this book was really special to me.
Thank you. There was a question back here.
Oh, sorry, just quickly, I was wondering if you, like hypothetical social justice, if you felt it could be achieved without any major, say, socioeconomic or political change, or can it sort of be achieved with the current, say, economic paradigm? Because, for example, some of the guys you mentioned, from Hampton, Malcolm X, even MLK, had a little bit of economic factors to their discussions, but those are typically removed from their stories moving forward. Those two sort of exist together.
Exactly. Thanks for the question. So the question was whether or not I believe that we can have true social justice accomplished without major economic changes. And no, I don't think we can. No, I don't think we can, because when I talked about the different levels of racism, you know, from individualized and internalized, once you get to the systemic level, we're really talking about the distribution of wealth and resources, first and foremost. And there's a gigantic wealth gap today, not just here in North America, but globally, between white and racialized people, whether that's Indigenous, Black, or other racialized groups. And most of that wealth gap was illegitimately created, right? Whether it's through legislation like the Indian Act, which, you know, prevented Indigenous people from basically having livelihoods that would sustain them in the new colonial context, or whether it's through legislation that prevented them from owning homes on their own lands to this day. Same thing with Black folks who were denied land when white settlers were being given that for free. And we know how much land is connected to wealth and the accumulation of wealth. And then it goes into other economic policies like who got loans and who was denied loans, and who gets advanced for career opportunities and who gets looked over. All of these things have led to these wealth gaps that we see today. And that's only the tip of the iceberg, right? So we need to really, I think, drastically reimagine the way that wealth and resources are distributed within our society. before we can move toward any type of social justice in the true sense. So yeah, I'm with Fred Hampton and those folks. Yeah, thanks for asking.
All right, we've probably got time for one or two more questions.
In the back over here. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Just a comment that someone is really excited about this book, so I really appreciate that. Thank you. And one more.
I have a question. I've raised 3 biracial children. Now, in the Black community, they're not Black enough. In the white community, they're not white enough. So how do you approach this type of thing? Because now they're grown adults, but now they've had children of their own.
I know. How do you approach it? So I'm biracial as well. So I come from a white and a Black background as well. And I definitely know that feeling. You know, I've been called white boy in the Bahamas. So yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? This dynamic. I think that rather than, you know, think about what we can do as biracial people to confront that, our society really needs to ask itself what it can do to just be a little bit more compassionate and understanding of people of multiple identities. One thing I would say is that biracial people, to me, could be considered emblematic of the coming together of different racial communities, which I think is at the root of what's needed if we're to achieve social justice. And so it's just something to think about, you know, so instead of pushing people to the margins, that we would look to them as unifiers, maybe if they're willing to take on that sort of a role. But that's just the first thing that comes to my mind. Certainly, life isn't easy for racialized people, and it's uniquely interesting and sometimes challenging for biracial folks as well. I just want to validate that. Yeah, thanks for asking. Chelsea, did you want to add anything to any of those last questions or? Okay, great. Just thought I would check.
Is there anything more you'd like to say?
No, I just want to say thanks again very much, everybody. So just a reminder, with the board books, I'll be signing little bookplate stickers to go inside those. Otherwise, I'll sign the front page or so of the hardcover book there. And really appreciate everyone being here and supporting me.
So I'll just say a quick thank you again to Khodi Dill, Chelsea Charles, the Truly Alive Youth and Family Foundation, 7 Stories Press, and to everyone who attended tonight's launch. Khodi will stick around to sign books, as he said, and we've got copies on that table and some over there. And for our virtual guests, the book is available online at McNallyRobinson.com. Thank you for joining us and have a wonderful evening.
Have a good night, guys.